So I don't believe in the word, I've told you this probably, but I don't believe in the use of the word waste as a noun. There should be nothing that is waste. We waste. That's what we do. We make waste, and we waste.
Yes.
So it's an orientation that is going to wreck it all, turn it all into one big waste pile.
Yeah.
It's the same as the sludge story. It's all getting rid of it. We have to get rid of it so you can make it again. That's
Right.
what that's the meaning of the word consumer. They want us to to destroy utterly. To consume first meaning is to destroy utterly. And that's what the system wants of us.
Yeah.
That we agree to destroy things,
Yeah. Yeah.
throw them out.
Welcome to the Real Organic Podcast. I'm Linley Dixon, co-director of the Real Organic Project. We're a grassroots, farmer-led movement with an add-on organic label that distinguishes crops grown in healthy soils and livestock raised on diverse pastures, all without synthetic fertilizers or toxic chemicals. You just heard from longtime Sewage Sludge activist Abby Rockefeller and the host of our recent conference, which just wrapped up yesterday at Churchtown Dairy. Abby has not only been generous with Real Organic Project by hosting the conference for the past 3 years, she's been a great champion of both the raw milk movement and the fight against PFAS, harmful forever chemicals that have entered our ecosystems, food, and bloodstreams, in spite of evidence that they were causing harm. We hope that you'll be inspired by her passion as much as we are.
Good. It's working. Is she talking? Good.
No,
Yeah.
she's not
All right,
talking.
good. That's good. That's good.
She's not talking.
Yes. Yes.
Well, listen, so it makes sense to say how come I came to know about all this.
Yeah.
And I came to know about it because I wanted a toilet next to my garden. My upper garden was the one I had. And I had built that house, which is right out there. And I wanted a toilet that I could use so that I wouldn't run back. I'd gotten an awareness that it was ridiculous to run back to the house and urinate and defecate into drinking water. Mm-hmm. That was it just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel good. So I was in the process of trying to design something that would give me it all back to use in my garden. EPA was already saying you cannot use human waste in agriculture at all.
Right.
Now they do this. You can use as long as you mix it with all industrial chemicals, then you can use it.
Right.
I bet. No, but by itself, no, can't do that.
Right.
So I was in the middle of trying to design something then, which was 1971 or 2. And lo and behold, Rodale Press put out one of their little boring journals, which would just say the same thing every single month. It was a monthly journal I would read them, and they were always the same. But they were fun if you were doing organic gardening.
Yeah.
And they had, amazingly, Richard Lindstrom, his own little hand drawing. He was an artist himself, and he had made a drawing of his tank, which was made originally out of concrete blocks. That's the first one he made, but then he made one out of fiberglass. And it looked like a big shoe sitting on its toe. Yeah. So it's called Clevis Multrum, and it was the first compost toilet that produced compost, specifically in I don't know, in the world, but it was certainly in this country. And I was astonished, but I didn't like to fly, and I still don't like to fly. And so I had 2 friends. They used to be together, but then they were separated, so they were going to Europe separately. I asked them both to go to Sweden and smell it. I was like everybody. I want to know, did it smell?
Yeah.
In the bathroom? Well, it doesn't, because it has a fan. There is a smell in the stuff, but it has a fan that takes air down the toilet and up a ventilation system. Anyway, so they went, and they both had the report. It doesn't smell. And that means either in the bathroom or the stuff that comes out of it doesn't smell.
Yeah. Pause for a moment.
Okay, all right.
All right,
Okay.
so we're
So
back again.
I asked these two friends to go and check it out, and they had good reports. So then I had two other friends. I had a boyfriend who I was trying to get rid of, and I had a woman friend who I was also trying to get rid of. So I set them up to go together. They had a car accident in England because they were driving on the wrong side of the road, and anyway, they went and met Carl Lindstrom's family and said it was amazing. So
Give me a
So-
year, Abby.
1972.
1972.
1972 was that year.
And this
it
is
was
before,
the summer.
before you met Carl, because you had
Yeah,
read about his
that's right.
dad's
That's
work.
right. That's before I met Carl. I would then went and got on a plane, which was a nightmare. I went and I had the flu because I was going to go on the plane, so I got the flu, and it was a horrible, horrible trip. And I went over myself to see it, and was bowled over. It's a big tank, and it looks like a shoe sitting on the toe, and all of that is of significance, but which Ricard didn't get it. Actually, he thought that the slope was for the solids, but the slope is actually serving an amazing function for the urine, because it took us 15 years of working with this in this country with Carl Lindstrom, who I got together with, and we worked together for a long time, and so one with the piece that his father did not know is that the urine doesn't compost. It doesn't decompose. It does what's called nitrify. Nitrification is the process which across the surface of the earth everywhere happens when urine is deposited on the soil. And the bacteria that do the nitrification is two species of the same genus. It's Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter, and they each do one of the pieces. So urea turns to ammonia nitrogen turns to nitrite, and nitrite turns to nitrate in just a few inches of soil. So, and I suspect, I've not tested it, but I think there's probably no smell. The urea has already been tied down and transformed in just a few inches, and it's ready for plants. That's the system of the great nitrogen producer of the earth. Anyway, so all right, so I got involved. I bought 2 myself, and I brought 10 over to this country. Helen and Scott Nearing took 1. Pete Seeger took another. It was amazing. They were good people, and who believed in them. Pete Seeger was wonderful.
Yeah.
Such a great.
And they were really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
They believed in it, but there was such work to be done, and there's still such work because this country doesn't the secret forces behind the whole system of using water to carry carriage waste, to carry all our waste. Right? Whatever can be carried in the water is carried in the water. So anyway, I came to be aware because of living with this. I had put 1 in my house in Cambridge, which I was fixing up, and 1 in this house, and
the big innovation here, Abby, is that unlike an outhouse,
Yeah, right.
this didn't smell like manure.
I think manure, what we call manure, which is horse manure and cow manure, smells wonderful, actually.
Yes.
But human manure doesn't smell great. We don't like it. So
Right.
we don't like the smell of outhouses. And it needs to be in a place where it can actually decompose, and it needs time.
Yeah.
And so this tank, which is pretty big, the original one was 8 feet long and 5 feet high, and big thing to put in there. So downstairs under the toilet over there, and it has been going since 1972.
Yeah.
And it so. How did I get to the sludge?
So
the
indoor
sewage?
plumbing.
So indoor plumbing. Listen,
Water's taking everything away.
that's what I didn't want to use water that way.
Yeah.
And then we built that greenhouse because then we have what's called gray water, which is wash water, which is perfect for irrigating plants because it doesn't have too much nitrogen. The nitrogen in the urine is too much for a lot. You can make dead spots in the grass, what I have out there, because somebody's dog used it too much or in one place or something like that. I don't know, but you can. It's strong stuff, and it has to be converted to its usable form, which is what happens. But we are not going to. We don't want to. We don't want to either use an outhouse. We don't want to go out of the house. We want to be able to be in the house, which I did certainly, and we want it to not smell, and this satisfied all those things. So it got me into the world of, I decided, I made a company in 2 years. I lived with it for 2 years. I thought, I've got to make this thing. That was a piece of work. That was very...
I remember reading about it in the Whole Earth Catalog.
Yes, I know. It was in the Whole Earth Catalog, and hippies all wanted it, but it wasn't, so it was a big thing. It was a big expense, and the country, the sanitary engineers, as they are called, and the world, and the sewer world, the way they keep this from going anywhere is by making regulations that's something you have to have a complete septic system, even if you have a compost, stuff like that. So people are mostly not going to do it. Until we change the laws, until we recognize that the sewer system is by far the greatest mechanism of water pollution, water destruction in the world, sewers. Yes. So that the thing that was called the Clean Water Act was a sewering act. It wasn't a Clean Water Act. It didn't make you don't make clean water with sewers. You destroy the water with sewers because you invite everything to be put in. So it's worse than a septic tank. Septic tanks are not good because they're not designed to get the stuff back. You put it under the ground and it goes into the groundwater at the best.
Yes.
Or at the worst, maybe, I don't know, it's the worst. At the worst, it goes into the groundwater. Some trees will take up some of the nutrients, but essentially, it's a disposal system. That's what we have, is disposal. We don't understand the cycles of life. We don't want to participate in them.
Is the biggest challenge of the sewage system that it's mixing in all these chemicals with the manure, with the poop?
Yes. The biggest horror is that it is an invitation to any industry on every and all the sewers in the streets, with the gasoline, everything, whatever, and hospitals, waste, everything that can be put down a toilet or down a sink goes into the sewer system, and so the industrial world gets free disposal of their wastes. Yes. And I believe that is a crime. They should not be allowed to dispose of their waste. They need it. I believe we need to come to a point, and I don't know if we'll be able to, that we say you can't make that thing if you can't manage its so-called waste products. Right. And that just should be a given, but people are far away from thinking in those terms. They think that the industries been used to getting free disposal. We, the taxpayers, pay for that.
And even then, it's not free. Even after we pay for it, there's a problem.
Of course, that's right.
Let's talk about that problem.
Okay. The problem is that it produces an unusable material, because everything that any municipality puts down its sinks and its toilets and its industrial drains is in there, and you can't get it out. You can't separate the stuff. There's no such thing as serious treatment. All the talk about treating sewage is nonsense. All they're doing is, what are they doing? Primary treatment was screening. And I say they screened out dead cats and turds that held together. And that's what they could screen out, and everything else would go to the water. So that's the deal. It's the soluble stuff goes to the water, and the insoluble stuff is what you take out. So then the so-called Clean Water Act said we need secondary treatment. Secondary treatment is a preposterous concept. They force oxygen into the effluent, into the sludge, the sewage, into a basin, a huge basin. That's what you see, the bubbling with a bubble, at an unbelievable cost. Energy, huge amount of energy is used to keep aerobic bacteria operating in that water. I mean, it's inevitably, naturally anaerobic. It would be anaerobic. And that's to jump, I think, anaerobic digestion of the raw primary treated sewage sludge is what should be done, and that's all, just to reduce the volume. So because it should be treated as a hazardous waste, so that that's all it is, and it should be isolated until we grow up and decide to do something that makes sense of our excreta.
So when they're doing the aerobic
The so-called treatment, digestion.
Does that break down the harmful microbes?
No, they're not concerned about the harmful microbes. It breaks down the organic stuff in it, and the bacteria probably they take in tons of the chemicals. Right. They can live with them, so they become toxic. It produces a material that's more organic, and I think it does something like triple actual volume of the sludge, which is because the bacteria grow. They grow and grow and grow and grow. They can do it. They know how to do it if you provide them with oxygen, but it takes incredible energy to keep oxygen in highly nutritious water.
Right.
And it is nutritious because the feces are full of nutrients. That's what the earth depends on.
So there's lots of organic matter there.
Tons of organic matter ready to feed the microbes.
As long as we keep it aerobic.
As long as you keep it aerobic at this huge, insane cost. Just ridiculous.
And then they separate the water from the solids.
Whatever is soluble goes with the water. I mean, the sludge is a jelly, is not dehydrated. They can't do that. Yeah. They talk about it, but they can't do that. And so there's this. It's the same old thing. What goes to the water is what's soluble, and what stays with the sludge is insoluble.
And one of the goals of the Clean Water Act was to reclaim the water from this process.
I don't even know that they're not reclaiming the water. They're not recovering it. It's just they take a certain amount of the fecal matter out, probably. And I don't know what proportion of the chemicals they can get out that are insoluble, that will go with the solids instead of the water. It's terrible water that goes out into the ocean everywhere where the sewers are dumped. They're dumping pollution. They're dumping toxic effluent. It's all toxic.
And they're left over with this.
And then they have this problem, this terrible problem of this sewage sludge, which they used to they would landfill it. Yeah. And I say that's all they can do. They need to have lined landfills. That's the only thing, but they don't want to do it because the towns don't like it. It's expensive and this and that. And so now they formed this clever plan. We'll land apply it. And that term apply sounds a little chemical, it sounds medical. You apply medicines, right? They don't say you spread it. I say that they unconsciously know they don't have a good thing here. We spread manure. We spread fertilizer. We don't apply fertilizer and manure. Right. So they've got this separate special word. You apply this.
And they're taking this and spreading it on farmland.
That's right. Well, the first thing they did, years ago, I had a big thing in this town here in Webster, New Hampshire. There was a guy who was up. He had bought. They paid for his lime. They used to pay people. They'd pay for your lime. They'd lime your fields if you would take the sewage sludge. And he was taking it, and he was having really sick cows. Yeah, and I got a group together, and we had a big, huge town meeting, and CNN came and filmed it. I'm sure it's available, but I'd never seen it. Anyway.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, right. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was the early 90s. And so let's see, where am I?
There was a spirited public conversation.
Yes,
about whether or not this would be permitted.
Okay, and so in that meeting, we voted vastly to not permit it, and this farmer was very hurt. He felt he was being discriminated against because he's a poor guy, and they were telling him his fertilizer. He's going to fertilize his land. He's going to get free fertilizer. So, but one thing a piece of all this that I did not know is that in fact the town could have refused to go against it, because the industries have personhood rights and have had personhood rights since the 14th Amendment. So that they have the personhood right, which says you can't discriminate against an industry as a person. So they can come to town. They can come to town with whatever they have. You can't say no because they are a person. That was a whole other piece of understanding that I came into through what was called the CELDEF, the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund. This guy who started something called POCLAD. Do you remember that? POCLAD? That was Richard Grossman, and he had started. He decided to learn, and it turned out Lee had told me already. He had learned from his history teacher that the 14th Amendment guaranteed personhood rights to corporations. Corporations were persons under the law, way before so-called, what's it called? Citizens United. Oh, that's nonsense. That's the last nail in that coffin.
Yeah.
So plenty of towns have tried to keep the sewage sludge out and have failed.
Failed in the court.
Failed in the court. That's right.
So I don't want to jump the gun, but of course we've come to the understanding, we being many, many, many people now,
right,
who many of whom have never seen a farm in their lives, but they understand that the sewage sludge is making the farmers sick, the animals sick,
it's killing them,
and the crops sick,
absolutely,
that are being sold.
That's right.
And as it's being discovered on scale, it's pretty horrendous.
Yes.
You've got this land that
is preposterous.
Yeah,
it's an outrage, and people unfortunately they focus on things like PFAS. It is everything in it has been ruined by everything else. There's good stuff in it. The feces and the urine is the best stuff.
Right.
But that's not kept separate.
As you said, if you were to just take an outhouse and spread the feces and the urine on the field, that's illegal.
It's absolutely illegal.
But if you put it and blend it with
a
thousand
chemicals, then it's all of a sudden they've decided it's legal just because they can. Yeah, right. So we had the first anti-sludge conference in Concord, New Hampshire, in early to mid '90s, and that was good, but we didn't really get anywhere with it. And then I fought with a friend in EPA, Hugh Kaufman, who was a good fighter. And he was the one who fought the Love Canal thing. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was the good guy in EPA, and so he came to there was a big meeting put on by EPA up here, and I was at that, and I think we tried to talk at it. But anyway, that it was essentially impossible. They had the power and the interest and the will. And now there's a different situation because people are really scared of what was going to happen, And so there's a chance to do something, but it's not a good thing. The fact is, we have to back off the sewers. That's what we have to do. We've got to get industry off, and we should be off. We need to figure out how to conserve. And what's the word for it? Husband our own excreta. We have to do that. If once we do that, we will think better of them. Yeah. We have negative views of our own excreta because we do wrong with it. We harm the water. We destroy the water with it and everything else. And so we have these, the word shit is a negative word, because we have done wrong with it. That's all. That's the only reason.
Yeah. It's intimately tied in, Abby, with the chemical pollution. They're almost two issues, but they become one issue as sewage sludge.
Absolutely. That this is the get rid of it system that we have. And so they pipe the sewage effluent 10 miles out of Boston Harbor from the sewage treatment plant at Deer Island. where there used to be a prison.
Yeah.
I think that prison is gone. Anyway,
They send
they
it
pipe it. They
Out to
pipe
sea.
it 10
10
miles.
miles out to sea.
It's out
and
to
then
sea.
It's just dispersed.
And it happens to be the feeding grounds of the humpback whales where they pipe it to. So what it does to their feeding of they feed on they're the one of the whales with the what are they called,
yeah.
the baleen, what is it, is that baleen?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
screen-like
the
mouth,
screen,
yeah.
so that they take in tiny creatures,
Right, which unfortunately
which are
the sludge would just be taken
right.
in.
Yeah,
of course.
right. Yes, right. Yes. So it's an immense thing to face, and it's got many pieces to it. The first piece is that people should not tie into sewers. They should, people are pushed into that so Bechtel has been the big behind the scenes promoter. Nobody ever talked to Bechtel. They talk to the sanitary engineers and the people in EPA and all the state, local, whatever they're called, are the ones who push people. They say, well, your septic system isn't working anymore, da-da-da-da-da. Well, it's nonsense. Septic systems, as I said, they're not as bad. At least it's local. You're not destroying the water, except insofar as it goes to groundwater, but it's nothing compared to the sewers. So
It's a problem where, of course, when you're in an urban environment, you really have no choice.
the way things are, in my view, we could have anaerobic digesters in the basements of big buildings and have the toilet stuff go there. And that would just to keep that stuff out of the sewers, and then industry has to be ordered to take care of their own.
Which requires
a
regulation.
different government. That's right.
Yeah. I'm
A different kind of government. I don't know what kind.
So if I might, something's happened just in the last couple of years where
it was
the
PFAS.
chickens have come home to roost, so to speak,
Yeah.
in terms of the biosolids and the evidence of what
Don't
they
call
do.
them biosolids.
Okay, well, that's the PR term.
That's right.
That's right.
They
So-
made that term up and paid
Absolutely.
somebody $100,000 to come up with that
Yes,
charming
very
term.
clever,
Right.
very clever. And so
I don't use that term.
of course not. No, but that's what they're using.
Right,
So that's what
yeah.
people know.
Right.
And so farms, famously up in Maine,
Yeah.
with Bill Pluker and his friends there,
Right. Yeah.
and it's popping up all around the country.
Yeah.
That people are discovering that their soil
Has been destroyed.
Is being destroyed.
Has been destroyed. They didn't know. I mean, so there's the farm called Misty Brook in Maine, which was run by this great couple, Keisha and Brendan Holmes, and they rented a farm in central Massachusetts, and I got my raw milk from them and they had this woman whose name was Cindy Gray, who was a heroine, and Massachusetts tried to take her out of they referred to her as a what is the word what is the drug word the people who sell drugs, what are they called?
A pusher,
Wasn't being a pusher, what was
drug
it?
dealer.
Dealer. She was being a dealer. That's right. She was the dealer. Anyway, she would bring it to houses in Cambridge and in all of the Boston area, so people who wanted raw milk could get it. But anyway, they moved to Maine, and they were given this couple. They were given a 380 acre farm, all set up as a dairy farm, and they were doing well. But they bought hay from somebody who didn't know, who thought they had an organic farm. They thought they had an organic piece of land, and their cows, Keisha and Brendan's cows, got sick from the hay that came off that land. And so they were very much, they have been a big part of this. Keisha's an amazing person. Anyway.
So this is such this is such an example of something that's so much bigger.
Yeah.
This is big,
Right.
but it's so much bigger, which is, as you say, this idea of that we'll throw it away.
Right.
Well,
It's a throwaway concept.
and we're running out of a ways.
There's never been real aways. It has always been bad for our characters to do that.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the trash is an away that is no good for the soul.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Do you think, Abby? I see that there's a political movement being built.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yes, my dear.
Would you make me a cup of tea?
Yes, he would.
good.
Just wait 1 minute. I will. 7, 8, 9. I was working with Hugh. Hugh and I, we don't get along about the politics of the world these days, but he was great. He was a real general. So Hugh and I and this guy John Stauber, who ran something called PR Watch. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was a really good thing.
Right,
It was
yeah.
great. And Ronnie Cummins, who started the Organic Consumers, which I tried to get him to change that, but he wouldn't change it. That association. So they, and also Alexis Baden-Mayer, who is great.
Yeah.
And they were the troops. And so we were going to go at this in a way that was going to get, as Hugh called it, traction. So we had found out what was going on in San Francisco, which was what's his name, the governor of Newsom. He was the mayor of San Francisco, and he had this program, this little environmental group that was promoting taking the sewage sludge and mixing it with the food waste, which at a special place that, nice people would take their food waste, and they would mix them together and call it organic compost. So those three, got in hazmat suits, white suits, don't kind, and got a bunch of bags and dumped them on Gavin Newsom's steps of the town hall, and we got a lot of press. It was a big deal.
Right.
And we got the LA Times and all papers, New York Times. It was big. But Hugh kind of messed it up because he decided that, you don't want this in here, but anyway, he decided that John Stauber was just in this to get money from me for his project. Well, so what? Anyway, it wasn't. That's not what was going on. And so John Stauber was so hurt, he just pulled out, so the whole thing fell apart. And that's when I thought, I can't do this right now. I don't want to do this. Is just it. I was willing to. I funded that thing, and it had real hope. We could have waked people up. That's 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were just trying to wake people up, show them what was being done, the lies that were being told. That was about lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because we did win in the making of the organic standard. We won that sewage sludge was not to be allowed in anything to be called organic. That was a win. That was a big deal.
They tried to push that through,
Yes.
the sewage
Oh,
sludge,
yes.
and there was a big
A
reaction.
huge reaction, right. And I was part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I just quit. I quit that fight then and made the dairy. That's what happened, literally.
To Churchtown.
The Churchtown Dairy, because my father had asked me if any of us were interested in anything to do with the land after he died, which was quite a ways after that. And I said, well, I'd like to try some little thing. To give me a piece of land and let me do something. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I was into raw milk. And so I decided that's what I want to do.
I was curious, back when your family was getting milk from Stone Barns,
Yeah.
was that raw milk? Or were they
Yes, it was
pasteurizing
raw
it?
milk.
It was always raw milk.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
grandfather was into raw milk. And I don't know what the story is, but he got all of the compost toilet in New York. And he had the mountain keeper thing,
Yeah, the river keeper.
The river keeper. But he had
had a
he was
mountain keeper
okay,
too?
well, no. So he wanted to protect the watershed.
Yeah.
And he didn't want anything that would allow people to build. So he thought the compost toilet will let people build, but it wouldn't put the stuff, it wouldn't be putting it into the groundwater
Right.
with septic tanks. Nope, he wouldn't have anything to do with it. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think he will be reasonable about this now. He'll pay attention to this one.
Right.
Anyway, I've talked to him a few times about the whole vaccine issue, which is clearly a big deal.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So can I go back for a minute?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just first of all, I'm just fascinated that your whole family was getting raw milk back in the
And
day.
my mother always had a dairy cow wherever she lived.
Yeah.
She had one in Tarrytown, not in New York City, but in Tarrytown, in Hudson, and in Maine.
Yeah.
And she had a cow, and she arranged to have milk so that she could have raw milk. Never talked about it. She didn't even use the word organic.
Yeah.
But she was organic. She had an organic bent in her. And when she died, everybody on the farm, this jerk of a guy who was her farm manager, who loved her, adored her, admired her, whatever, got rid of that cow. Bam, out that cow was gone. I fought it. I tried to get it to be kept. And so the woman whose name was Alice Victor, who was my father's assistant, was sort of being the manager of that place, and she got a psychiatrist to come and talk to all the employees, because there was such chaos over the fight of who wanted raw milk and who didn't want raw milk. So she had psychiatric help.
Because they were all getting the raw milk too.
Yes.
Everybody got the
yeah,
milk.
right.
Yeah.
Right, but most of them thought it was disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just an interesting thing that helped lead you to that place of taking over Churchtown and making a raw milk dairy out of it.
Well, I'd been drinking raw milk all along.
Yeah.
I believed in it, and then when I came here, I met the Owens, who were so great. They had such an amazing setup, and so I was just I saw the fight. I thought it felt hopeless. I mean, it was so bad. The opposition to raw milk is just like the being for sewage sludge on the land, but they're against raw milk. The same people. They're crazy.
Crazy.
That's what they are. Yeah, sick. And
But you've made a beautiful dairy.
yeah,
It's
and I
beautiful.
wanted it to be beautiful, and that was a big fight, to do that, because it's not a model. I can't, it can't be called a model, but I wanted it to I guess the way I say it is, I want people to think about the troubles in the presence of beauty, because it helps focus the mind in a hopeful way. Right?
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
So
All right. Well, let's talk about some troubles again, just for a minute. So, because we started to talk, but we got sidetracked.
let me get
of
Janet
course,
to come give. Yeah. What?
So, well, I have two different, but one's an ugly one first. You also have been. Were you at Seabrook?
Yes.
I was too.
Were you really?
I was.
I was there with the Owens.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For heaven's sakes.
You were one of the 1,400.
Yeah.
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 Me too.
Wow.
I was just telling Chris, they sent me to 3 different armories and they arrested everybody.
Oh, well, they didn't arrest me. I can't remember what.
Oh, good.
I was not one of the arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that was quite a
Yeah.
heavy time.
Yeah. It was. I mean, the country was on its way into very bad things. So there was, that was a brave thing, and it was exciting, and it felt good, but I didn't have hope then. I felt the country was in a mess. Ever since Kennedy was killed, and which I was 20 years old, and I felt the country's in big trouble. That this is done. This is an inside job. Period. I knew it was. I knew they were lying. They were lying all along. So from that, all the other 4 people who were killed in that 5 years, and they one by one, everyone, all a lone nut. Their lies were just phenomenal, and I didn't believe them. Anyway, so what were you going to say, though?
Well, I was curious about, I was sidetracked, forgive me. I was curious about trash, solid waste.
Yes. My mother couldn't stand the trash. She said, what do people think they're going to do? keep throwing things out. She would say that. She'd talk like that. So I learned from her.
Right.
She had, she didn't go far enough with it, but she had that feeling. This is hopeless. This is a bad direction we're in. Anyway, so.
Yeah, so it's a question.
Yeah, right.
About what do we do? I know one of the, it's not a solution, but
It
one
might
of
be
the
too
things that
hot.
people have proposed is
Yes.
burning it.
Yeah, right. No, it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's the same thing. We have to not have waste.
Right.
We have to stop it. We have to make things that last and that are made of good materials that are not poisonous when they go someplace. We are feeding the capitalist monster. That capitalist monster likes that. It wants us to throw things out. It's so, capitalism is so clever. It can make so much so fast, and the more it makes, the more we don't need it. But the faster we have to throw things out. It's a monster system. The whole thing is. This is just the whole. It's all a piece of one problem picture. I mean, so I don't believe in the word. I've told you this probably, but I don't believe in the use of the word waste as a noun. There should be nothing that is waste. We waste. That's what we do. We make waste, and we waste.
Yes.
So it's an orientation that is going to wreck it all, turn it all into one big waste pile.
Yeah.
No, that.
Okay.
It's the same as the sludge story. It's all getting rid of it. We have to get rid of it so you can make it again. That's
Right.
that's the meaning of the word consumer. They want us to to destroy utterly. To consume first meaning is to destroy utterly. And that's what the system wants of us.
Yeah.
That we agree to destroy things,
Yeah. Yeah.
throw them out.
Yeah. All right. I think that might be good.
Yeah? You
Yeah,
mean,
that
you
was
mean
great,
enough?
Abby.
There's stuff
I
in
think
there.
that was great.
Enough. Okay.
Was there some sort of trash burner project up here in New
Yes,
Hampshire? And
yes,
you got involved
I
in
did.
fighting that?
I did with
What's
Hugh.
that story? Roughly when was that?
Roughly, oh my God, that was,
The early 90s or?
it was the late 90s
Okay.
or early 2000s. That was one of the last things I did. And I got this, Hugh Kaufman and we got a lawyer from Massachusetts whose name was Doug something. He became the state lawyer, very smart guy. And he came up, and there was a company that was burning. I mean, it was just the typical thing. They were burning pellets with some toxic stuff. They were just burning it all together. I mean, it was only one of a multitude of troubles. And I think we got to slow them down at least. I don't know. I don't even know what happened to it.
But you got together with some people here in New Hampshire.
I did. Yes, I did. Yep, there was a bunch of people who were. Hugh was a little bit crazy, and he would kind of go off the handle and he got Bell's palsy, and looked strange. But he was a great strategist.
Right. Well, what's going on in Texas and in Maine
Yeah,
and all
right.
these different states. It's
Yes.
really interesting that it's a blue-red thing. There's people are putting their
They're-
political differences aside.
That's right. Yes.
Because this is an issue that
Yeah.
unites people.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
Farmland is being destroyed.
Yep, that's true. Yes.
But they need to understand
Yeah.
the sources of the destruction.
Right. Yeah. Yes. No. The real source is the economic system, which relies on wasting things so that it can make it again, so that it can make money. It's the stock market depends on this system.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that this could get. It's obviously it's taken some time for the toxicity of this compost.
To become irrefutable, because
Yeah.
it was refuted. We knew it,
Uh-huh.
So, who was it who was just telling me? Oh, Meryl Nass, who she's gotten connected to this guy whose name is David something, and he was a dentist, but he also worked for EPA, and he was a whistleblower, and I got to know him. And there was a farmer in Mississippi whose cows just plain died.
Right.
And I mean, so we tried to make something of that. And we did a big thing in Washington. Bernie Sanders was a jerk. He would have nothing to do with this. He would not help one little bit. Anyway, so we tried to get something going, and they pulled one of those fast things on us, so that we were just about to have a big meeting, and they pulled the rug out. I mean, there was no meeting. Stopped it. They know how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the acts in D.C. It was useless.
But let me try one more time on this. So it's like
What?
the process of somehow domesticating and making this solid waste biosolid thing to sort of make it seem appealing and then make it be a product.
Yeah.
That's taken, it sounds like, at least 10 years. And they had been getting away with
way
it.
more than 10 years.
Okay.
This is 30 years at least, or
Okay.
40. I mean,
But
it
it's
was
just now that it's really breaking through.
That's right, and that is
awful.
because of PFAS. Because too many cows actually died, and
see.
too many people got really sick. Too many. It got so it's over. They could not keep it down. Cows were dying before of all the other stuff, and probably PFAS too. In there, I don't know, but there's tons of horror shows in there. But now they can't. So the same people are the actors in the world that promote sewage sludge. They have this thing called the U.S. Compost Council, and they get hundreds of millions of dollars a year from the U.S. government to promote sewage sludge on the land. That's what it's about. But they call it the U.S. Compost Council. And people, you have to be in this fight to know that they exist. But they are so shrewd. It's all part of the deep state. I hate to tell you, that's what it feels like to me.
There's, in the case of PFAS, which is a family of 2,000 chemicals.
2,000.
It's not like one thing.
That's right.
It's many,
yeah,
many
right.
things. But now, they've had a major story in the New Yorker, a major movie, about dark waters. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I haven't seen that.
It's pretty amazing, and
Is
it's
it?
a true story. And they got Mark Ruffalo to play.
And what is it? What is it about?
It's about DuPont knowingly.
Of course, right.
Poisoning the waters
Exactly, right.
of this town, and a guy who's just a straight lawyer.
Yeah, sure that.
And his law firm is supposed to represent DuPont, as I recall.
Right.
And as he learns about it, he goes, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And they go, shut up.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't shut up. And so he becomes a renegade lawyer and is fighting for the farmers whose animals are dying from this.
Yes.
And of course, the people
Yeah.
in the town are dying. It's
Yeah.
not just
Right.
it's not just the animals.
Yeah. Well, listen. So that was the story of Love Canal.
Yeah.
They built a town on top of a dump, of a hazardous waste dump, and people died of cancer. Yeah. And it's just these stories go on and on and on, and they will continue to go on as long as the money is supporting it.
Well, this U.S. Compost Council probably still exists. It's an industry association.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
And so it's now got a target on its back that it hasn't had before.
That's true.
There's something's going on here.
Now that should be shut down. That should be shut down.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that Trump should shut down. He could do that.
Yeah.
It's because it's an evil, totally evil. I mean, I have not known what to do with it or about it. It's so powerful to have millions of dollars.
Right.
To go around the world, just promoting this.
Right. Yeah. Well, it seems like their time is.
Yes, I think
up.
I feel so.
Yeah.
I
mean, if
agree.
you get 5 or 6 states that are putting their hands up, this is no longer just one.
So
person.
the struggle is going to be to get people to agree to have lined landfills. That's the only lined, so there's no leakage.
Right.
They can do that. They have the technology to keep things from leaking. They absolutely know how to do that. I don't want to hear any nonsense about, it'll leak into the groundwater. Doesn't have to. They have to spend the money to line a landfill and put it in there and it'll decompose anaerobically and get smaller. That's get to be just less. That's the best you can do. That's all you can do.
Well, not the best. The
Oh,
best
no.
is
No.
to change the whole system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But besides doing
Yeah,
that is, given the arrangement that we have, that is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
And that has to be, that's a fight, let me tell you, because towns don't want it. Towns don't want this in their town. They fought, to get rid of sewage sludge from being dumped in their dumps. And those dumps haven't been lined, but they're going to have to be lined.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, good.
Yeah.
I mean, so actually, I don't know if you want to carry on with this, but you want to brief Abby a little bit about where Real Organic is, where the conference is and stuff.
Sure. We can turn this stuff off.
Thank you for listening to the Real Organic Podcast. If you have a spare minute today, the single most effective way you can help us grow this movement and others to find this podcast is by leaving us a rating and a review wherever you listen to our podcast. You can find a video version of this interview on our website or on our YouTube channel, and you can join us every Sunday for a new episode featuring voices from the organic movement. And if you haven't already, please sign up for our weekly newsletter at realorganicproject.org/email. See you next time.